with us tonight. She is out of town, so we do miss her, but we thank everybody else who is here tonight, and we just look forward to having a great time together. My husband and I are back again to do a part 2 on the theme that we talked about the last time we were here, so without further ado, I'm going to let him get started, and I just want to also say thank you to all of our online viewers. Thank you for joining us, and we do have a handout tonight, so if you'd like to have a copy of that, you can contact us through the church website and through the Facebook page. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Go ahead and let them know what we're talking about tonight.
So for those of you who don't know us, I'm Paul, and this is Catherine. We're the Berries, and we are a blended family. So we're going to bring to you part 2 of what we talked about before, and that's an important part of life after divorce, and that's how to make a blended family work. So we're going to start with just a recap from the last time we talked, and there were some pretty staggering statistics, if you can remember those. There were like 1,300 new families formed every day in the United States, new step families. There's over 50% of U.S. families are remarried or recoupled. 75% of divorcees will remarry. 50% of the 60 million children under the age of 13 in the United States are currently living with one biological parent and that parent's current partner. So divorce is pretty common, and it's a way of life or fact of life today. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about fitting the pieces, the puzzle pieces together. It's the same pieces, but it makes a different picture. So the only things that we have control of over are ourselves, our actions, our perspective, and our reaction toward others. So there's a couple of things we're going to talk about, a couple of points, and that's you, that's others, and the kids. So we'll start with you, and the role that you used to fill is now changed. So whether you, whatever role you played in the family is different now, is vitally different. So. And this can bring about a sense of lost identity and a feeling of no longer fitting in, because, you went from being the breadwinner, the sole breadwinner, or now it's different. So where you used to have the sole claim on a role in your family, now you share that. So in my case, I went from being the only man in my child's life to having to share that responsibility. So, and you have to figure out how to do that, and how not to let jealousy and feelings of inadequacy creep up. And then, and you had a specific role not only in your child's life, but also in your ex's life as well. And then you have to figure out how to make that relationship work now in a different role.
Yeah, so we've actually put together just a couple of pitfalls to look out for, and also things that can help fit into the new role. So for the pitfalls, one of the things that actually Sister Debbie talked about last time, which is the toxic thinking. So getting in a negative headspace is very easy to fall into, because you are going through something, or you just recently went through something that was extremely negative and had an impact not in a good way on your life. There was pain and hurt and all the things and the grief that you're working to deal with and to work through, and it's very easy to just kind of move in and live there and stay in that negative headspace. So kind of having that feeling of my life is over, and not being able to pick up those pieces and figuring out the fit. So that's one of the pitfalls really to look out for yourself. The second one is living within a false reality. I have a tendency to be someone with a great big imagination, and I can understand how easy it could be to get into a world of fantasy where you feel like that if you think about it hard enough, it's going to come true. But with marriage, it takes two people, and that person may not agree with whatever your fantasy is. And, if we live within a false reality, we're always hoping for things to change. We don't want to accept our present circumstance. We're always looking for, remembering how things used to be, and why can't it be like that again? And maybe it'll change, or maybe I'll, be able to wake up one day and find my circumstances different. And that's really a pitfall, because that gets us nowhere. It just kind of keeps us stagnant, and life keeps going on without us if we find ourselves in those things. But the good news is, and the encouragement is there is a fit. And one of the things is to remind ourselves that we are an individual. Even when you're married, you still have your individuality. And now that you're not with that person, you still are a person with purpose. It's just going to look a little different, and your role might look a little different. But it's still the only, you're the only person who can fill that role. It might look different, but you're still the person to fit and fill that role.
It might take a little while to figure out what that role is.
That's true.
And exactly how you're gonna fit in that.
Yeah, that's true. And one thing that I like to live by, I try to at least, which works good in this instance, is to make lemonade with the lemons, because it is a bitter thing to swallow when your life changes so drastically. And you know, for most marriages that don't work out and there's divorce involved, I mean, you don't see them throwing a party and celebrating. I mean, there's pain, and there's these things that are involved that are just very grieving to us. So it is very bitter. But I tell our son also, as just a life example, that we could be bitter or we can be better, and we are in control of that and within ourselves, to take what we've been given and find a way to fight the bitterness and look to be better. One perfect way to do that is always to go to the scriptures and go to the Word of God and find encouragement through the Word of God and find direction through the Word of God. And for this particular puzzle piece, this piece of you, I thought of Ephesians 2:10. It says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." And that's just an encouragement and a reminder that we do have what it takes to make sure that we are fitting that piece, that role in the blended family that only we can fill, that God sees where we're at, and God sees what we're going through, but he also has confidence in us that we can do what we need to do to make a blended family work. And it's not easy, I know. I mean, it's easier on paper, but to try to at least implement some of these things makes life just a whole lot easier.
So I saw a meme this week on the internet, so we didn't talk about this, but it was these two men were on a train, and the train was going through the mountains, through like up the mountain. And one man is sitting on the side of the train, and he's looking out the window, and all he sees is the dark granite walls of the mountain going by. The other man is on the other side of the train, and he's looking out, and he sees this wonderful valley and lots of mountains. So the point of that is, it really is, you're in control of your view, where you look at it and how you look at it. So you can choose to look at the dark walls, or you can choose to look at the beautiful mountains and the valleys out the window.
That's true. Well, the next one is others. And by others, obviously it's the person or the people that you have to work together to make this blended family, the ex-spouse, and if they're remarried, then looking into the step parents and that sort of thing. So like we said in the beginning, that we're really only in control of our perspective and our reactions to others. We can't control others. So a lot of times we have to remember to just control what our perspective is of them, and that helps a lot, and also our reaction to whatever their actions are. Their role in your life has changed also. So the pieces just, they don't fit like they did before. And as you continue your journey through the difficulty of sorting through the emotional, mental, and even physical pain of picking up the pieces of a broken relationship, there's the added responsibility when there's children involved of also accepting their new role in your life and how to make it fit in the big picture. So, you know, it's when there's kids involved, we know that it's not just severing the ties and that's it. I mean, they're basically in your life to some degree for the rest of your life, as long as your kids are around. There's your kids' marriage, there's the grandkids. I mean, it's just the connection goes on forever, and you know, we have to accept that and then figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah. So, you know, some pitfalls to avoid are holding your ex-spouse to unrealistic expectations. You want them to do this and you want them to do that, and you wish it was something different, or you wish that they would do something different, but ultimately you have to adjust your expectations to fit with their behavior. And then another thing to look out for, and this is hard not to do, this is hard to do, is not be competitive. So you want to be the fun dad, and you want to take them out, and you want to have a good time with them, and then you want to let the other guy be the disciplinarian, or you want to be the first one to do this with them and the first one to do that, and it's kind of are you really doing that for the sake of the kids, or are you doing that because you want to win and you want to look good to them? And the children will know. They'll know the difference, So.
That's true, and I do have to say, just to be totally transparent and honest, is we have fallen into this pitfall before, me especially, because I feel like coming into our son's life at a later age, I missed a lot of the firsts. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to have to hurry up and be the first to do this with him and the first to do that with him. And, I guess that is a little competitive, and I've had to step back and remind myself that, it's really not about me. As much as we like to think it is, it's not. It's really about him, because you're right. I mean, they do notice. They can tell if it's for them or for your own gain, and there's just a whole lot of traps that could happen when we do that.
Yeah. So the fit comes in when you got to realize, again, this is all about you're in control of you and your world, and really it's your perspective and how you want to view things and how you react to things. You want to be able to keep the toxic out, or the stinking thinking. You don't want to fall into that trap. And if you can keep a positive attitude, healing will happen along the way. And before you know it, you're like, wow, I never realized like I got over that, but it happens. And there's room to heal. So you just have to focus on the big picture and kind of and try to work on the little details as you go.
You mentioned talking about being in control of you and your world, and one thing is that could creep in is, again, thinking like, what would they do, or how would they do it? But if we remember, we're in control of our home and our little world that we have, and our daily life that we are doing every single day, and no one can come in and put that pressure on you to do or be anything other than how you're living your life. Now, of course, our goal is to please God and to raise good kids. I mean, that's our goal. And so if we can keep in mind that the fit is you have to also accept they have their household, we have our household, and it's okay. The kids do get bounced around a bit, but if you are not trying to be competitive, and if you just are like, this is our house, this is our family, this is how we do things, that's the fit. You're in control of your space.
You're going to have different parenting styles, as well as different schools of thought, and how you would go about doing things or solving a certain problem. So you have to trust that the other individual is really have the best intentions at heart. And that's hard to do, because we have a lot of hurt that we have to work through, and a lot of pain. But
That's true.
you can't expect somebody to behave and to react and to do things the way that you would do them.
Yeah, and that's difficult, because we all have our stubborn streaks, and we all have those personal things that we have to work through. But when it's a blended family, it's that added kind of looking in the mirror, looking at yourself type of thing, and getting yourself right for the sake of your family and your kids. And actually, Philippians 4, 11 through 13 talks about being content. And I'm going to read it. I think this is the NIV version. It says, I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. And then verse 13 is the key. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. So again, just leaning on God, and we've had to do this so many times where we were just at the end of ourselves because we were just not in the right frame of mind, and we just, had lost a little grip of doing the right thing to make a blended family work. And it's scriptures like this that we can lean on and understand that, we can be content while in the situation, while in something that is not acceptable. It's just not an acceptable situation, but we can find contentment because we can know that we can do all things through him who gives us strength, through Christ who gives us strength, and that's where our strength comes from. Especially this number 2, because it's not, the kids usually aren't the hardest part of the blended family. It's when you have the 2 ex-spouses trying to find the new fit.
Yeah, and the kids oftentimes they get kind of overlooked. You realize, hey, I feel hurt, and this my life is different, and this has changed, but a lot of times we forget that the kids, their life has changed as well. They're no longer like just spending all their time with you. Now they're having to divide their time, and they'll have a set of friends over here and they'll have a set of friends over there. And, life has really changed for them as well. So, and it's important to help them to find their new fit, or their new normal. It takes becoming, and looking outside of ourselves to understand that really, we're here for the kids, and we need to make sure that they we can do whatever is necessary to help them work through that adjustment. And that is a difficult adjustment because, they're used to running down and talking to you whenever they felt the need, and now they may not have the opportunity, they may not have the means of communication. So, it's important for you to stay in contact with them as often as possible so you can help them, adjust to their new life as well.
Yeah, I know that with our son, it was definitely an adjustment for you because you were super involved because you were there. And then once you had, you guys were in different households, it was an adjustment trying to figure out how to make all of that work for him. And I think he's done okay. He's done pretty good. The pitfalls for kids and for us with the kids is one thing that I know ex-spouses do. I'm not an ex-spouse, but, when you marry somebody who's been married before, you do inherit whatever their life is. You do take on their concerns, their accomplishments, their joys, their sorrows, pretty much everything that they either have gone through or are going through, or may have residual of things. You basically adopt it as your own. So, I can kind of understand the one of the pitfalls would be viewing the kids' relationship with your ex in the same light as your relationship with your ex. And I've heard a lot of people that I've known that have gone through divorce, and they have these really negative things to say about the situation and about the other person. And a lot of times they'll say, but they're a good parent. They're this and this and this to me, but they're wonderful to the kids. And a lot of times we forget to separate that, to understand that what's going on between the two of you, the kids are paying for that price, and they are having a new way of living, and there's just a lot of things going on in their lives. But it doesn't necessarily mean that your ex's relationship with their kids is the same as yours, that your relationship reflects their relationship. And so it's easy to talk negative to the kids about your ex, and they don't understand because all they see is this wonderful parent who treats them wonderful. And so we have to be careful of that pitfall, because it just not only brings us down, but it really, really hurts the kids, and that's, something to watch out for.
Yeah, that was something that for me was something that I really made an effort to, was to not influence his relationship with his mother and to not taint that. So I never wanted to say anything bad in a negative light about his mother, that he would hear, that he would take in and would change his thought process, because that's his mom and that's his mother, and how he feels about her that's his relationship, and I didn't want my negativity to influence his thinking in that.
Right. And but again, it's a super easy trap to fall into. The second thing is, and this is a really good one, is using the kids as leverage. Now, I know, we've all been guilty of that before. Even unknowingly, we may not even realize that we've done it, but using the kids as leverage, or even better yet, having them be record keepers and reporters. Kids don't have the same understanding of a situation that's going on, and they might come back and report to you. You want to get like a report on how their weekend was, or how what's going on in the other person's life, and all of that, and they're going to tell you what they think they know, and a lot of times it's not accurate, but we want to take it, well, my kid told me, and so this must be true. And kids are smart, I have to say. They also will tell you what they think you want to hear, or what they think is going to benefit them the best. That is a huge pitfall and a huge trap to fall into with our kids when we're dealing with a blended family, because it won't take very long for them to figure out how to, so-called play both sides.
Yes.
If we allow that gap to happen where they can play both sides, they will do it. They certainly will. And those are some of the traps that we can fall into when dealing with the kids part of the blended family. But, the fit. Why don't you tell us about the fit?
Yeah, the first thing is, be the parent. You're not their best friend. You're not their buddy. And you want to invest in them at every opportunity. So spend time, doing things that you wish that maybe your parents had done with you when you were growing up, or things that you wish you had the opportunity to do. So take that time and really show them that they're the most important thing to you, because they do, they're adjusting to their new life, and they will feel a little neglected and left out. So do that. And then, count your blessings. Children truly are a blessing from the Lord that you can be thankful for. Doesn't always seem like that. Sometimes you're like, man, I just want to strangle this one. But they really are a blessing, and then, they bring so much to your lives. Like, I can't imagine what I was like before I had a child. So it's really changed my life in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and being their parent hasn't changed. The circumstance has changed. Your fit with your spouse is no longer there. Your puzzle piece doesn't fit in that spot anymore. But where your children are involved, the fit is still there. You are still their parent. There may be, you may have to share a little, but again, when you are in control of your home and your world and your life, it's not about sharing. There is a time for sharing, but when they're with you, you're the parent. You are what you've always been to them, and that doesn't change. And if they see that doesn't change, and they see that fit, then there is a sense of security that they get from that, and they can see things are different. Mommy and daddy, life has changed for them, but I'm still their kid. I still fit. I still have a place. And, that's an amazing thing about being able to be a parent, is that no matter what, there's still that fit. In 1 Samuel, it's the story of Hannah and how she could not conceive a child. And she was very thankful when she finally was able to, and it was, of course, Samuel. She said in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 27-28, she said, "I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. So now I give him to the Lord. For his whole life he will be given over to the Lord. And he worshiped the Lord there. If we just remember once again that we're not doing this all on our own, that we have the Lord to hold us up, to that we can give our children back to the Lord, and that he can guide their path, and he can make a way for him, for them. Even when we're trying to deal with the residual of divorce and we're in recovery, or however long the recovery and your journey takes, because every journey is different. And in the midst of that journey, you can have the Lord to help you to raise your children in the midst of it.
Yes.
So those were the three. We had ourselves, the others, be it the ex-spouse and any other step parents, and then the kids. Just a little something for the blended family, some tips and that sort of thing. And I know we talked about puzzles.
Yes.
And you had a lot of cool things to say about that.
Yeah, so it's a blended family is a lot like a jigsaw puzzle. And you don't sit down at this puzzle, it's a 5,000 piece puzzle or whatever it is. And you don't sit down at it and dump it out of the box and everything falls into place. You take your time, you look at the picture that what it's supposed to look like, and then you kind of take and you sort those pieces out. You sort them according to color or texture, and you kind of get them all kind of like put together in a way. And then you start, a lot of people start with the outside edges, and then once you get that square, then you start to fill in the inside picture. So, but it doesn't happen all at once, and it takes some time. You're going to sit down and you're going to study it. You're going to be patient. You're going to put piece after piece together, and you're going to, if the pieces don't fit just right, you have to kind of like work them in there, and then you get them to snap together, and you go on down the line, and sometimes you find a piece and you're like, oh no, that doesn't go there. So you have to find a new place for that. And then, if you have the patience and you stay with it and you stay persistent, it may take you a few hours, it may take you years to do this puzzle, but eventually the puzzle will be complete. The only time that you can't complete the puzzle is if you walk away from it.
And also, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but you know how you're working on a puzzle and you get all the way to the end and you realize there's a piece missing. And it may just be one piece out of 1,000 pieces, but all of a sudden that one piece is the most important piece in the whole box. It's just one of many, but because it was missing, it becomes in your mind the most important piece. And you can look at that puzzle, and even though it may just be one small little missing part, that's the only thing you can focus on, and that picture isn't complete. And we don't want that to be us. We don't want to be, to feel like that we've put so much patience and effort and time into, making our blended family work just to become the missing piece, because the missing piece is just as important as all the other pieces.
That's right.
So we just wanted to encourage everybody tonight. Those of you that are online, all of you here, we just want to encourage you to just keep going at it, and just, take it one day at a time, just one piece at a time, and it will come together, and it will happen. And, get into the scriptures and read the word and get encouragement, and, encourage each other. And,
that puzzle, when you're putting it together, is not very strong. It kind of wobbles here and there. You push it around the table. But once you get all the pieces in there, then it's truly a really strong fit.
That's right. It really is. And it's a beautiful, complete picture. So
it is.
I think that's basically it for tonight. This is all we have for our blended families making the puzzle pieces fit together. I don't know the date for next month, but I do know that there is a special speaker, and Sister Debbie will be back. Just keep checking our Facebook page and check for those dates. They usually come up in plenty of time for you to make the make a note to make sure and tune in. All of our online watchers, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it, and we hope that God blesses you and your family. All of you here, thank you so much, and who knows, we might see you again. God bless you.
For some questions now.